And we're back here once again with another episode of the MSK show. And this is going to be episode 168. And in this episode of the MSK show, I am going to be having a conversation with JoesAtmosfere. What's going on, man? How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic, brother. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. So basically, got off work, about around 2 o'clock, slightly, may not have pulled a little bit muscle in my back, was in some pain at work, but it's not one of those big ones. Cause like before, when I pulled a muscle in my back, I could barely move. Literally, I would sit down in a chair. I would have to like put my legs up and lay down. Because if I was standing like this, it would be just so unbearable. I think I laid down on my bed over there and I put not a can of soda. I put a cold bottle of Gatorade on my lower back so I would just not be in pain. It was not good.
What do you do for a living, man?
Oh, I was just I had this thing at my job where I moved the boxes for the new inventory to come in. And today I had already moved like 100 boxes before that. And I grabbed this other one and it just didn't. I'm like, what the hell is that? I don't know where but I learned that for your body, that if you're mentally in it, your body's naturally going through it. But if it's an unintentional thing, your body's not ready to register that kind of pain. It might do something, but goodness gracious, how life is unfolding the way it is currently crazy because, man, there's people in the world that really want to watch the world burn. What Alfred said in The Dark Knight is so true. Some men want to watch the world burn.
Yeah.
Probably one of the best superhero movies, not just ever, just one of the most quotable superhero movies ever.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That look, The Dark Knight, it really, it was really different. I had a friend of mine that was he's a DC freak, but he's one of what I like to call a comic book fundamentalist. If it wasn't exactly like the comic book, he was upset. And he hated that Dark Knight trilogy, man. He did not like that at all.
I can understand not liking the third one. The third one's not as good as the first two. But what's crazy? A lot of people say they love Batman. They don't read the Batman comics at all. They really did expose themselves for like stuff that Nolan did that was very Batman-esque in those movies. They're like, well, Batman would never do that. I understand people aren't that interested in reading comics because you have to reading it. I understand it. But you do sound like an absolute tourist when you say The Dark Knight is not a Batman movie, when it clearly features Batman, first of all, in the movie. And I would call it this. The Dark Knight reminds me of those Batman stories that come after the origin story. So like a classic one is like Year Two. It's an actual Batman story called Batman Year Two.
Right.
You have Batman stories where you don't need to have other elements established. That's why you have them all established in the first movie. When people say The Dark Knight's not a Batman movie, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He saves people. He drives a Batmobile. What the fuck are you talking about? He has a lair. He has Alfred. I legitimately don't know what the hell they're talking about.
I always tell people that what Nolan was shooting for was, if Batman was real, what would it look like? That's what he was shooting for, I think. And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. The young man that played the Joker, Heath Ledger,
where he's training with Henry Ducard, or as we know as Ra's al Ghul. That line he's giving Bruce when he's fighting him and training him. Oh my God, Batman Begins. That first part of that movie is just top tier superhero origin.
It's awesome.
Shit.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
God, man.
Batman Begins. Look, I missed the boat on seeing that in the theater.
We couldn't afford it. We had to
called
wait.
me up. He said, Joe, you've got to go see this movie. I said, why is that? He said, dude, you've got to see it just for the Batmobile they're using in this thing. Said,
the Tumbler.
Okay, man. Okay. I just thought Batman was played out. I mean, after that one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, I was checked out of it, man.
Batman and Robin. That one.
Yeah, Batman and Robin.
Unpopular opinion, man, I think all of those are not that good. I didn't even like the Tim Burton ones.
I did like the Tim Burton ones. But then again, you got to remember, back then we weren't in these extended universes and all this stuff. We didn't have many comic book movies, man. We really didn't. I don't think young people today can't really realize what the impact of Batman 89 was. I mean, culturally and everything. Jack Nicholson was at the top of his game. He was one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood at the time. Tim Burton was just getting started directing. His first movie, you know what his first movie was? Pee-wee's Big Adventure.
Wait a minute.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That was his
I heard
first
of it.
directorial movie. But
Mm.
anyway, yeah, he was just getting started, and my God, when it hit, everybody went to see that. Prince was on the soundtrack. I mean, just pop culture all over every frame of that movie. And it was that, but you know, just like today, people had questions about it because, like, when they cast Michael Keaton as Batman, he had never done
People go back and
anything
look throughout
near a
history.
serious role, you
Yeah,
know?
if people go back and look throughout history, that was
Mhm.
considered a controversial casting at the
It
time. I
was. Mhm.
like for those movies, for me, Jack Nicholson, he was a great Joker. He's honestly really
Mhm.
great. I
Yep.
just didn't care for Michael Caine's Bruce Wayne. I didn't really think his Batman was all that impressive. And I've rewatched Batman, the second one, Batman Forever is called. No, that's the third one.
Yeah.
What's the second?
The second one is Batman Returns.
Batman Returns.
It's got the Penguin,
God, man.
and it's got
Danny
Michelle
DeVito is
Pfeiffer as
great.
Catwoman.
Yeah,
And
those two are great. But that
Mhm.
whole movie, oh my god, I rewatched it. I was like, these don't hold up at all. Not a
Yeah.
single one of these hold up very well. That's why when you got the Nolan movies, I thought
Mhm.
those were good. What I feel like hurts the Nolan movies is obviously, unfortunately, Heath Ledger died. He was going to be the main villain also in the third one with Bane. They were going to be a duo together because that has been a duo in the comic book. Sometimes they do kind of team up a little bit. We saw in
Yeah.
Arkham Origins, they teamed up in that video game
Mhm.
where him dying kind of shuttered the plans. And then the Dark Knight Rises basically just suffers from, I don't know, the plot meanders. It's not as cohesive. It's not as tight. It's not as consistently flowing, as easy as the other two.
I think it's a little long-winded. I think it was a decent movie. It's nowhere. Look, the second chapter of that thing, just like many of these trilogies, is the best part of it. You know,
Yeah.
The Dark
Spider-Man
Knight is
2,
the best
yeah.
part of it. From beginning to end, that movie rivets you. And what I really dug about it was the little things that he plucked out of, because one of his major influences was Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns. He loves that book. And what I thought was really cool is during the chase scene when the older cop is in the car with the rookie and sees Batman go by, he tells him, "Oh man, you're in for a show tonight." Kick this thing into gear. And the kid doesn't even know who he is, you know, which was something that happened in The Dark Knight
It was
Returns.
crazy.
You know?
In The Dark Knight Rises, it also lacks the iconic scenes, not as much as the other two. Because like I get there's some iconic scenes in Dark Knight Rises, like the plane, they use all practical effects of the plane, which is what's great. You
Right.
had the fight scene between Batman and Bane that was built up in the movie, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, and a few dialogue scenes here and there, Tom Hardy as Bane is not good, guys. Because I know Nolan said, well, I can't really make him look like that. Then you just don't do it then.
Yeah.
You don't make him look like that. That's actually a worse way to make him look. And he sounded horrible with that mask on. That mask is a meme.
The accent I thought was killer. The accent I thought was killer. But,
yeah.
But
that
yeah,
fucking
I mean,
mask, man. Holy shit, that was cringe.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, when I saw Bane was the bad guy in the movie, well, he's not the big bad then, because if you've read the comic books, he's never the big bad. He's always working for somebody else.
Always,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. He's more of a mercenary. But I don't know. I enjoyed Dark Knight Rises. I would rank them if I was going to rate all three of them. I'd put Dark Knight, The Dark
2,
Knight
1,
first,
3.
Begins second, and then Rises third. But you know, I remember stuff from that movie, like when he blows up the entire football stadium. That was awesome. But of course, I'm a big football fan, and I know who the players are that are in that scene. I mean, you know, Ben Roethlisberger's in it. It's basically the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think it was Hines Ward that was actually running with the ball while the whole field was collapsing behind him. Yeah.
The interrogation scene in The Dark Knight when he's interrogating Joker finally. And Joker's like, "Don't talk like one of them. You're not." And he was just, it was so good. But if you guys go in the comment section of that scene on YouTube, people say we went from this to David Ayer's Suicide Squad.
Yeah. Right.
Imagine going from something like that to fucking like Batman versus Superman. You're like, all right, I guess we've really been circling the drain here.
Yeah. Right. No.
So
I mean, well, Nolan's a different kind of director, though. I mean, if you look at all of his movies, I'm a movie nut, man. And I'll never forget the first time I saw Memento. I said, wow, this guy has got, he always likes to mess with your head when he makes a film. Even the Batman movies, he does that. Especially that first one with the side effects of the gas. He had a field day with that shit, with the visuals that he put in that movie. I thought that was awesome. But that's why that trilogy is so good. It's done by a creative that they let loose and let him do what he wanted to do. These days in the MCU, they don't do that. They cast directors and tell them what to do.
I have an
And
idea
that's
that
the
we can do in the
difference.
future for a collab video. We're going
Mhm.
to talk about comparing and contrasting the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man trilogy and the Dark Knight Nolan trilogy. I feel like those are like a lot of people's favorite movie trilogies from back in the day before the MCU became a thing and they had their own trilogy of
Right.
movies.
Mhm.
Both of them have very similar impact on superhero cinema, but then both third movies falter so hard. Even with the Spider-Man 3 video game, it also falter compared to the actual Spider-Man 2 video game, which is considered like one of the best.
Oh man, Spider-Man 2 was so great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first time that you could go open world with it and go anywhere in the city you wanted to and stuff. It was
Especially
really
compared to
cool.
the first video game where you're just kind of flying through the fucking you're like flying through the city with that web sling. And then they made a really great revolutionary game in Spider-Man 2. And then Spider-Man 3, that video game is considered the worst. It's these trilogies have so much parallels. Like even other like series that went to like 4 movies, like Jaws, peak masterpiece. Fourth one is the worst ever. Aliens, first 2 are great. The very last 2 are shit. Superman, masterpiece, first one. The later 2 are the worst ever. Batman, very similar. A lot of people like the first 2 are the best. The later 2 get better.
It's hard to repeat what you did in the first one.
You're right. Yeah.
You look at the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. Okay. Look at those. That's done by a creative and James Gunn that they let do what he wanted to do. And he took comic book characters that, quite frankly, nobody cared about and turned it into a great story that everybody enjoyed, and really pulled at your heartstrings and stuff. The second movie, it kind of faltered a little bit for me, but the characters and their cohesion were really good. And then the third one, when we get into Rocket's backstory and everything, it is just, wow. He hit another level with that one. So that one, the second one, suffered a little bit, but the main thing is, though, you had creative guys that knew what they wanted to do, and they let them do it. They didn't police them and tell them they had to do this, that, and the other thing. That's what Spider-Man 3 suffered from. Sam Raimi, who got his start in horror movies before he started making those Spider-Man movies. He actually made one superhero movie before he made the Spider-Man movies. It's called The Dark Man. If you've never seen it, you need to go check it out. It is fantastic. It's got a very young Gerard Butler in it. Or not Gerard Butler, Liam Neeson, the guy that's in the old man that's in all the action movies, the Taken movies. Have you ever seen the Taken movies?
Yeah, I've seen one of them. But
he's a young guy in it, and he is a guy that he's working on something for skin grafts for people with burns and stuff like that. And he ends up damn near getting killed. Anyway, he can put on anybody's face, but it only lasts for 90 minutes, and it'll come apart. Have you ever seen this flick?
No, I've never seen it.
You need to go check that out, man. You'll enjoy it. But anyway,
I know he's known for the Evil Dead universe.
You can see, yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, everybody knows about Army of Darkness and the Evil Dead movies, but watch Darkman. That's his first attempt at a superhero movie before he made Spider-Man, and you can see the similarities between the end of Darkman and the end of Spider-Man. Both characters are talking to you as they walk away at the end of the movie. He in Spider-Man he says, "This is my gift. This is my curse. I'm Spider-Man," right? And as he's walking away at the end of Darkman, he says, "I'm everyone. I'm no one. I'm Darkman." Right?
I never knew where that quote came from.
Really
I never knew
cool.
that. I've heard that quote before, but I never knew where that movie came from. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Another thing movies are very good at doing back in the day, making you remember them by quotes.
Yep. Oh yeah, quotable. That's one thing I always see on X because I'm always checking out movie stuff, and I always have stuff pop up on my feed. If you like this movie, quote it. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah,
I can do that all day. Me and my brothers can sit here and have entire conversations in movie quotes because we dig movies. Both of us do.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, we have seen every iteration of Superman together in the theater for the first time whenever it comes out.
Movies,
we went and saw Christopher Reeve's one together when we were kids. We went and saw Man of Steel together. I drove over to Dallas to go see Man of Steel with him, and I'm driving over there July 11th to go see Superman. So, yeah.
So I want to ask you this stuff first. So just in case you ever come on for a second and third appearance down the road, we don't have to do this again because superheroes origin stories are always overdone to a certain extent, but they always matter for the grand scheme of things. So I'll start with this. How was your life growing up? Actually,
my life growing up.
Yeah,
Oh,
you look very
just
old.
normal.
You seem like you're like 60 years old.
I'm 60. I'll be 60 this summer.
I was right. Yeah. Whew.
Yeah, you're close. I was born in 1965.
Damn, crazy.
Military background. My dad,
Mhm.
I'm an Air Force brat. Actually, both Army and Air Force. I
Oh, so
was
you're a retired
born.
veteran. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a military policeman, and
Wow.
I'm on Pop Culture Minefield for their Military Monday shows on at 10 a.m. on Monday. We talk about military movies on there. I was a military policeman for 3 years when I was
Mhm.
young. Um, I was in ROTC before that in high school. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm one of these guys. I got along with everybody though. I'm a
Mhm.
pretty easygoing guy, and yeah, I did 3 years in the military and then did 3 years in the National Guard so I wouldn't have to pay for tuition in Louisiana state schools. I'm from Louisiana. And my parents, though, are from Maine and Massachusetts. My mother has just recently moved back to Maine, and I go see her once a year up there. And my father's in the Virginia area. That's where he retired out of the Air Force at.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, I was a bartender for what, 18 years. Well, I went to school at LSUS. I was going to be a journalist. That's what I wanted to do. And I found out. Now, listen, you're going to like this story, man. I'm going up to the student center. I'm walking up the steps at the student center. This is the winter of 1987, I think. Yeah. 86 was my first semester. So it was the second semester, winter of 87. I'm walking up there, a local television crew. It's just a reporter and a camera person. Okay. And I come walking up there and they wave me over. Can we ask you a couple of questions? And I'm there with a buddy of mine that I joined the Army with, right? We both joined the Army because back then they had a really good college system. I had $40,000 to go to school on after 3 years
Damn.
in the Army. Okay.
Great
So I'm
investment.
walking,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm walking up there and she says, we want to ask, how do you feel about President Reagan uh, making cuts to higher education? Right. And I said, well, me and my friend really aren't affected by it because we got plenty of money to go to school on. We were in the Army, right? And she looks at her cameraman and goes like this. Does the slash throat thing. Says, nah. Now, and I said, are you done talking to me? She goes, yeah, we're through. Thank you. And I said, I looked at her. I said, no, wait a minute. I'm going to school here for journalism. And they're telling me that I should be covering every side of a story. Is that not true? And she actually said this to me. She looks at me. She goes, no, we just want to talk to people that are getting hurt by it. That's who we want to talk to.
So even
And
from
this was
back
in
in the day,
1987, buddy. This was a local
yeah.
city television crew for North Louisiana.
So
Yeah.
even back in the day,
Even back
they
in
were
the day, they have
still
slanted stories the way they want the message presented. Yes. So
Mhm.
I've always told people, yes, watch the news, stay informed. I watch more local news than I do anything else.
Oh yeah.
But I do my own research, man. You can't, if you want every side of a story, do your own research on these stories. Okay.
Or even add to your point, even do research on websites you deem left wing. There's been some left wing
Yeah.
sites that have even come out and completely
Look, I
negated
can't
narratives.
watch CNN because they're too far left. I can't
Well, you
watch
don't like Scott
Fox because they're
Jennings?
too far right. I mean, I just want the facts. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
Dragnet. Just the facts, ma'am. Okay,
Mhm.
that's all we need is the facts.
It's true. I agree.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
one of those things where I tell people this. I've heard very similar stories to what you said. There was a person I used to have on the show.
Mm-hmm.
She herself was a journalist too. She was all over in like the Europe territories. They were like, she said they're like that too. She couldn't give me specifics because there's like, you can't give specifics when you come to that stuff. It's like a fucking confidential thing. But she says they're very similar to what you said. They have this narrative they're just trying to push. They're not trying to publish the actual story. They want to publish the story for the version of events that they want people to remember, because this is the very key thing, not just journalism, but how people work in their brains. People will remember things based off of what they've read, based off of who set the narrative for them. So like, as you guys know, when a story drops, really the reason why the first part of it is the only thing that gets them out of attention is because that's the only thing that people care about, is the first part of it. Most people generally do not look at a story after the very first brunt of information.
Yep.
They don't, because they don't know.
When my brother and I do our political show, I always point out the misleading headlines. That's one of my sections. I tell them this is misleading. It's you go and read the article and they've got the actual information, but they'll make it a sensational headline just to get you to look at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, look, I did a year in college, and then I got a bar job at a nightclub, and I was bartending for 18 years after that. And then I went into manufacturing, and I made glass for a living for Libby Glass for another 18 years. And now I work in, I guess you'd call it the rehab industry, the nonprofit industry. I am a resident manager for a rehab that helps compulsive gamblers. That's what I do now. And I also do groups with them once a month, telling me and my wife's story from the non-gambler side of it. My wife was the gambler. And so, yeah, I'm helping the folks that helped my wife now, because the glass plant I worked at got shut down during COVID. Just like many companies, they realigned through bankruptcy and decided to shut our plant down. So, so that's what I do now. It's a perfect job for me because I do 40 hours a week in 3 days. And then I got 4 days to work on my channel, to work on my comic book, I do pencil sketch portraits by commission. I've done that all my life. That's my specialty. And yeah, that's what I do, man. I've been doing this YouTube thing for about 3 years now. Yeah.
Okay, so you started in 2022.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I tell everyone this so they know. I've been doing this since October 15th, 2015. I had a bigger YouTube channel before, but it got taken down because of hate speech. So this was my second channel that I had for League of Legends content. So I just turned this one into what it is right now for movies and TV and stuff like streaming and stuff like that. And then I have my comic channel, which I started last year because I just always want to talk about comic books. But as you know, I told you before, I was a poor guy. We don't have a comics around us. So getting to comics was very hard. So I had to just kind of read about the stories online. People said, you were reading them on Wikipedia. What else could I get them from? I was poor. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
If I didn't do that, I would have never been that invested to the stories or care to buy the books later on. So I'm going to build up another Yu-Gi-Oh channel later on. It's already made. All the legal information is there. I'm going to probably try to start the third channel. But man, just doing this for so many years, it'll be officially 10 years come October 15th this year. Holy
That's
shit.
great, man. I mean, how many people have, do you know? I know a few that have the same story as you, that built up a following and then got nuked over something stupid and then had to restart their channel. I know one guy, shout out to Wes, whatever cast. I love you, man. I follow him on Patreon. He has given up on YouTube, man. You might see him on Rumble occasionally, but he's on Patreon now. That's where he's at.
I couldn't do it, man, because so after I lost my main big channel, which almost had like 4,000 subs, I went YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, but then I realized to myself, essentially, if you're, no offense to people on Rumble, I like Rumble. I have an audience there. I'll always put my content there. I'm not gonna be in the creator program because I thought that creator program, the new one that they made was just absolute trash. But if you're not on YouTube, I personally think the show doesn't matter. You will get YouTube does have a bigger audience. And people say you have to censor yourself. I'll play the game. I'll play it. I was
fixing to say, if you want, look, if you two things here. One, I agree with Gary Neurotic that even if you're going to broadcast on other places, you need to keep a foot in YouTube, and because you need to spread it out everywhere, man. I put out, like, the show I did earlier tonight, State of the Atmosphere. It's my favorite show I do every week. It's the pop culture show. We do about an hour of nothing but pop culture news. And then we we highlighted all the movies coming out in March. We talked about all of them today. Right. And I do 2 hours and we're done after 2 hours. I make it a hard ending. And then that's so I can rebroadcast it. So I put out over YouTube, Rumble, and X during the live broadcast, and then I rebroadcast it over Facebook, Twitch, and Kick. So that's where I figure you should go ahead and take advantage and get the word out to everybody any way you can. Yeah, that's
the only reason why I'm not on Twitch is because if we do this kind of content, because I did this kind of content on Twitch for about 2 years plus, it doesn't matter. And I have followers on Twitch, I do, but literally Twitch is I think Twitch is just honestly a trash platform. I mean, it has some use, it does, but I'm not putting my content there. First of all, if I put my content there, it's not, no one really cares that it's there. No one really watches, and it expires. So like on Rumble, if my content goes there, just in case there's ever a stream that got taken down, I could just get that VOD and re-upload it as a regular like premiere, and I could have the VOD available. Or I have to go on Twitch. Sorry, I have to go on like Twitter and get it. But on Twitch, I feel like unless you're legitimately doing like 8-hour or like 5-hour plus gaming streams, you're not really going to be getting anything out of it, honestly. Like, I think for me, the best places to put the content for me is YouTube, Rumble, and X. And when Rumble fixes their new creator program to not be trash like it just came out, I'll potentially do that, because their new creator program was, you got to use Rumble Studio and you have to be a member, and it's like, why?
Yeah, it's kind of trying to get you to cut the apron strings from other places. I hear what you're saying there.
Mike, what's up, man? Says YouTube.
Yeah, I was just about to type back to Mike there. Absolutely. That's one of the pluses of YouTube. And sometimes, man, you never know what's going to hit it. Let me tell you something. Not the last one, but the week before, 2 Sundays ago, me and my brother did a show, and I had so many people in the chat I had never seen before. And I was fumbling around doing the production, because I do all of it. My brother is just there as a personality, like I am on your channel right now. You're producing it. I'm just a guest, right? That's the same thing with me and my brother. And I'm sitting there trying to keep up with the chat and all this stuff, and I was fumbling through it, but they were having a ball. They had a great discussion going on in the chat. We had left and right in there talking to each other and stuff, talking about what Doge is doing and all that stuff. And when I got done, it turned out we had 1,900 people during the live broadcast, and I never get that many. I don't know how I hit the algorithm, but they were highlighting my channel for some reason, and I got more views on that thing. Usually after a week, I've got 100 views on that show, maybe at best. Mostly about maybe 60 to 70. If it's a really good episode, I'll have over 100. 1,900 while it was alive, 2,100 when it was all said and done. And how they email you your performance.
I get
that. My peak watchers was like 65 at one time at a peak, and I was like, my God, I've never had more than like maybe double digits, maybe 12. I mean, I've only been doing this 3 years, and as well as I do, if you're just doing live content, it's not replayable. I pick up subscribers very slowly. That one show, I got 13 subscribers. I was like, what? Usually it takes me a week to get 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. When you're doing live content, if you don't understand, guys out there listening, it's not evergreen content. It's not stuff people are going to search over and over again. And the live stuff doesn't hit the algorithm like the evergreen content does. So yeah, it takes a long time to build an audience that way. I just passed over 500 not too long ago. So that's where I'm at after 3 years. It takes a while. So
yeah, it's one of these things where a lot of people don't get it. I do podcasting because I just genuinely like doing it. Like I was inspired by this one podcast, or sorry, 2 of them that I watched for like League of Legends that I've watched forever. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to do this for like different, things that I like talking about. And we do have a League of Legends podcast on the show on this channel. But when you do podcasting, I tell people this. It's actually better if you want growth if you just do pre-recorded videos, because pre-recorded videos are going to obviously have not just rewatch value. They're just a lot more digestible than maybe an hour 30, hour 10, 2 hours.
Not everybody watches long form. They sure don't.
Yeah. A lot of people don't. Like, that's the thing is, you can find dedicated people that do. You can. But it's one of these things where the average person either is going to be watching shorts or they want a 10-minute video.
That's it. I was going to say, make it 6 to 10 minutes and you're golden. But here's the thing. Editing is a pain in the ass, and it takes a long time. It does.
Yeah.
I've made a few videos, not many. I think the last time I made a video, I was just blown away. I'm a big football fan. And before, this was a couple of years ago. It was like my first year doing it. Baker Mayfield had left the Panthers. They'd put him on waivers, and he had been signed by the Rams on a Tuesday, and he had to play for him on a Thursday night, and he brought him back from a a 10-point deficit at the end of the game and won the game. And I was just so blown away. The fact that he had just gotten there 2 days before and goes out and wins the game for him. I'm a big fan, so I had to do a video on it, and it took me half a day to edit the damn thing. But it's fun, but I just don't have the time to do that because I've got commissions coming in, for doing artwork for people. I want to because of the commissions of my 40-hour week job, this comic book is a slog to work through. Let me tell you, because I have a greater respect for comic book guys now than I've ever had, because I'm trying to do my own and I'm doing every job on it. And I now understand why teams of people are working on these things, because it's a lot of work. It's a whole lot of work. I've got 2 20-page rags already plotted pencils, and I'm working on the inking now with a digital program called Procreate on iPad. And that's what you see me doing on the show on Fridays at 1:00 in the afternoon. And I try and work on it during the week, but a lot of times I can't find the time. That's why I keep that show going, so I can keep chopping away at it. It's something I just want to be able to say before I trip off this mortal coil that I tried it and I tried to do it, So yeah, it's something I've always wanted to do.
Mike says, I like long form stuff. Same here, because I have podcasts up while I'm working or doing other stuff around the house, but most people can't last more than 10 minutes. Yeah. Also, if you have a family and you're kind of a one-man show, it's actually more better use of your time to do like shorter form content. It just kind of is, Plus, people don't know this, man. Back in the day, YouTube would legitimately punish your channel for doing live streams. Literally, if they didn't have actual replay value, you would lose subs.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember when YouTube first started trying streaming. Yeah. If your channel didn't have any replay value on your streams for more than I forgot what it was, like 10, 15 minutes, they would like actually unsub people from your channel. They never actually admitted that, but I saw it literally firsthand, because people go to Twitch for live streams. YouTube was kind of the more video creating platform. Like, people have got to consider your highest viewed video will be more on an upper echelon of an algorithm hit than a stream. Like one of these episodes, like back in the day when I was doing the Nightwing podcast, where that one got axed on the other show on my other channel, those episodes got like 200, 300, 100 views, right? These max will hit like the average. They said it's like 50 to 70 views. But I told you this before. I don't really care about views all that much. Like, just because someone has more views on stuff doesn't mean their content was better. Just because, it just had more views. That's really all that matters.
Yeah, and all that means is it hit the algorithm a different way. Like I said, I experienced that firsthand the other day. What this Sunday, that same show that me and Danny do every week, it's got the same format, same content, all that good stuff. It was back to normal. It was back to 40 people watched it live, and I had a peak of like 10 people, You
had 40, man. I haven't had, so like back on my older Nightwing podcast, we would have average of 12 people. When it was a juicy, spicy topic, it would hit like 20.
I'm talking about during the broadcast. That's the number I got after I was done with the
average ones for me are like when I do these shows. If I have it's like one of these one-on-ones, it could be like maybe 5. When it comes to panel shows, it could be like, I don't know, like 6 people. I've not kind of ever cracked that. Now I got to get into double digits, and people go, but these shows don't do any good. It's like I told people this before. I could do this whether I had 5 people watching or 1 person. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just here to have the conversation with the person I'm here talking to. It's all that matters.
Well, I've heard the best advice I ever got from guys, and I'm sure you would agree with this. You got to be authentic on this platform. People could smell a fake from 5 miles away. So if you're passionate about comic books, you can tell by the way you talk about them. That's what you should be doing on your streams. Me, when I talk movies, I talk about the few comic books that I did collect when I was a kid. I'm a Spider-Man guy. It's all right here. Supergirl and Spider-Man. These are my.
Pretty sure you're not happy about the new Supergirl #1 announcement.
Well, okay. Here's the thing. That's another inflammatory thing because of where the story came out of. Yeah. Okay. It came out of what? Them was the name of the website, right?
Good Lord.
And it's because they're highlighting the fact that it's a they, them that's doing the story and all that stuff. But look, we had this conversation on my show the other day, me and my brother. Is around the time that the president was saying that he was going to get transgenders out of the military, and he was going to stop funding transgender reassignment surgeries, gender affirming surgery, whatever the hell
Yeah.
lingo they use for it.
Mhm.
Okay. I agreed with him on stop paying for the surgeries. But you know what? If a transgender person is the best person to be driving a tank, if they're the best at it, I want that transgender person in the tank driving it. Okay. So that's why I'm saying the problem with that story is where it came from. Now, we don't know what that story is going to be. We
True.
can't judge that until we see it. It might be a good book. They're not. Here's what's misleading about the title, and everybody saw that and they immediately think, oh God, they're turning Supergirl into a transgender character. No, that's not what's going on. It's
just the
the
writer on it is, I forgot the last name. He was originally named Bryce or Bruce, and now he's Jenny. So my thing with it generally is because I think these stories have now evolved over time. A lot of people have conversations now, which I really like because it allows for more layers of it to be discussed. I was talking to fucking hell. I was talking to Savage Dad last night on StreamYard when I streamed didn't go through because I told you the band downstairs was too loud. What the general consensus is really weird is because I think people don't notice red flags anymore. Like red flags in a relationship. You would probably go back in your life and go, man, I wouldn't have married that girl if I saw those red flags in here.
Come on, man.
Because I think to be fair, I agree with you. I do agree that just because this person is a Looney Tune doesn't automatically mean it's going to be bad. But since these people tend to be very narcissistic, it's so hard for me not to believe that they're going to at some point insert themselves into the book. That's my only concern.
I understand, but okay, let's look at this. Did you watch X-Men 97 on Disney Plus?
I watched the original. I actually watched 97. I had time to.
You didn't have time to. Okay.
But I heard the controversy.
Most people that watched it enjoyed it and thought it was good. But before it came out that the guy that was writing it was homosexual. And everybody thought he was going to throw the message all through it and everything, right?
The more binary thing. Yeah, there's that.
And it turned out to be a hit with comic book fans. They thought it was really good. And they're looking forward to a second season, but this guy's not going to be working on it because Disney let him go.
Yeah, right. There's the red flag. Yeah. Him not being there. So, yeah. That's the thing is, no, I agree with you because Lightyear, the movie Lightyear that came out, the only thing that people talked about was the gay kiss scene. I watched the movie. They don't actually kiss at all. They actually cut away from it. Yes, that shouldn't be in a kid's movie. I fully agree with that. But the gay character they had in there was honestly a fine gay character. She didn't talk down to him. She didn't do anything wrong. It was a fine gay character to have. The whole woman bossing wasn't there. And I was thinking to myself, who is lying to people about this stuff? Like you're just getting lied to. The movie is not what you think it is. Now I agree about this stuff. Should be there for kids. I fully agree with that. But it's one of those things now at this point where I think people are at the point where how much of the red flags does it impact their decision to consume the content? Like I said before, I'm going to buy the book. I'm going to give it a chance. Yeah. But it's always that thought in the back of my head. It's like, hope this person doesn't fucking go insane because they don't even know what gender they are. So it's like,
well, a lot of it, and this is I'm looking at the Mike's comment there. Yeah, they do tend to be narcissistic. You're absolutely right. But I think that has something to do with the condition they're in. I mean, I worked in a nightclub business. I was around a lot of people with different attitudes about life and stuff.
Yeah.
And I have met people that I firmly believe they were a man that was born in a woman's body or vice versa. I've met people like that. And look, if you're an adult, if you're 18 years old and you want to become another gender, that's on you. If it's going to make you a happy person, go do it, man. That's great, But
I think where you draw the line is mostly like trying to push that on young kids.
That's it. Yeah. If you're below 18, you are not old enough to make that decision. You shouldn't even be given a doctor's appointment for anything like this. I would say you need here's the thing, man. Let me tell you this.
Sure.
Like I said, I've been around for a long time. I've got a picture over here on the wall of a guy named Chris Sarandon. His first part in a movie was in a movie called Dog Day Afternoon, starred Al Pacino. And it was about a bank robbery. And the guy was doing a bank robbery, and this is in the 70s, mid-70s, to get money so his boyfriend could get a sex change operation. Okay? Now, back then, when people wanted to get this done, they had to go through a battery of mental health stuff with psychiatrists and everything. They had to basically prove that they wanted to be a woman, that kind of thing. It's not like that anymore. Now you've got they're ready to help you out with it. It's almost like it's a money-making scheme, man. It's just
and that's the thing that I've always said too. It's mostly like there might be people, a very small fraction of them, that really do genuinely believe they're the other gender. But the ones that are like the activists, quote unquote, they make it worse than the actual.
They get Look,
and it's a whole, the old saying of like, you've been around a long time. The old saying, the squeakiest wheel gets the most attention. Kind of thing.
That's it. It's a very small bunch of people doing this.
Yeah,
very small. Yeah. But
Comic Style, what's up, man?
When it comes to Supergirl, I will try it out. I don't like every. Hey, I tell you, you're probably going to laugh at me, but my favorite Supergirl story that's come out here, I'd say since the turn of the century, is that a lot of people didn't like the New 52 stuff, but the Supergirl book in New 52 was good. I loved it. I thought it was really good.
Did you like Brian Michael Bendis's Supergirl Rebirth story he did? I know he did a run of Supergirl then.
It's all right.
Okay.
I've got them. I read the first one and I
love Kara. She is one of the, because I know at some point in comic history they started doing the whole like superhero male has a superhero female counterpart.
Right, yeah.
She is one of the best ones they ever made for comic books, just for DC. Because she fundamentally has a way different viewpoint on life than Clark does. She has a different backstory. She was trapped in the Phantom Zone. She's older than him. She has just a different view on humans. She
remembers Krypton. That's the biggest difference between the two. And she's pissed off that it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
She
looks at humans differently, and her relationships are all different. She's a genuinely really well-made character. It's just so sad they can't make her work in any run because
they never have. They have some decent ones. I really want to collect all the back issues with the Turner work in it because I think that's my favorite.
She needs more omnibuses. Does she have any omnibuses? I don't really see her getting any omnibus treatment.
I've got one up here. Hang on 1 second, real quick.
You're fine. Good. People who think they know better what their gender is than the God who created them is. That's true. That's true. The same with DEI. That was pushed so much. Now people see it every time they see a black person.
Play out here. I must have boxed it up, but I do know they had one with Bizarro's Supergirl on the cover. It's in a graphic novel form, and it was a few issues of something. I can't remember. A friend of mine sent it to me.
Since you're a Supergirl fan, I don't know if you. I don't know. I'm pretty sure you heard of the DC Finest collection that they're doing. It's similar to Marvel's Epic collection. Yeah. They actually did a Supergirl DC Finest book where it's like her first appearance and stuff like that. I don't know if you've seen it.
I don't know. If it's a book that's been released by DC, it'll end up in my bin at work. I actually grew up with the guy that sells my books to me. So he knows I'm a big Spider-Man and Supergirl guy. So I'll see him.
Just whenever you get this, 600.
These are reprints.
600 pages.
Okay.
No, this is a new. You see how Marvel does their Epic collections? This is DC's attempt at doing that the same way, but they're not like volume 1 ordered. It's kind of like at certain awesome periods of a character's career or lifespan. And Supergirl's 600 pages, $40. Her first appearances. You get Action Comics and all this stuff. These are essentially, I can even show you right here. That's Supergirl's. That came out not too long ago. Came out like I think 2 weeks ago.
I will have to I'll have to have Mark pull that for me if they've got it at the store.
This is essentially what they look like right here.
Oh man, look at that. That's cool.
Yeah, wow. For Superman, they did it. They did Action Comics #1 and all the Action Comics up to number 20 in this. This is what they should do for every character. Started at volume 1, you progress with it throughout time, but DC wanted to do it. No, when you do it to a great period and point of a character's career, it's like, just start it from the very beginning. You're going to get to that point anyway if you reprint 600 pages of a character's fucking history.
Right.
You know? But
yep. Hey, there's guys that'll buy it. No doubt, man.
I sure did.
I'm collecting. I'm trying to correct. I'm trying to collect all of my favorite artists' work, which is Ross Andrew. He drew Spider-Man during the late 70s, early 80s. Basically my high school years, he was doing it. His most famous stuff is probably he's the guy responsible for the Punisher. Amazing Spider-Man 129. That's his book. And he also did the work on the first ever DC Marvel crossover, which was Superman versus Spider-Man. It's got that famous cover of Spider-Man on the Eiffel Tower and Superman flying up to him. Yeah. Ross Andrews, my favorite. And when I started working on my book, I said, you know what? I looked through all of my Ross Andrews issues and I said, yeah, this is the way I want to lay out the book because I love the stuff he does. So
I wanted to ask you, since you have, oh my goodness, the Melissa Benoist, her Supergirl series. What did you think about the Supergirl series on the CW? Because eventually it started on CBS, then it went to CW.
I think they tried to make her too much like Superman. I mean, they made her working at a media outlet, and I would have liked to have seen them start her off as a teenager, just getting here. At least have a couple of episodes of that to show you that. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's the only thing we had at the time. It got a little hokey near the end, but I enjoyed it. I mean, dude, it's the only Supergirl we had. They've never
John Cryer.
They've never done good Supergirl stuff. I mean, the Helen Slater one, I've got.
God,
it's bad, but it's the only Supergirl we had, man.
We had we had Laura Vandervoort in Smallville. Did you like her interpretation of Supergirl?
Now, I've never watched Smallville. Never watched that show. Never did get into it. I got to tell you, I'm a Marvel guy. I'm really not a DC guy. Matter of fact, I've learned more about DC Comics from my friends and the game DC Universe Online. I've been playing it since its inception in 2011.
It's still going. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's still going. And I still play it at least once a week. I have a video game show that I do on Tuesdays at 10 p.m. where I have a couple of cocktails and screw up a video game. And like right now, I'm doing my first playthrough of Mass Effect. I never played that game, and I picked up the actual 360 discs not too long ago. It only cost me like $5 a piece, and
oh my god, that's a steal.
I got them, and I've already played through the first one. Now I'm playing through the second one, but I always play at least once a month. I have a fella named Lunatic who's a good friend of mine, and we've been playing DC for years together, and he pops on there with me and we play DC at least once a month on my video game show. We get together and do that. So Mass Effect is amazing. Comics Dad says Comics Dad is cool as hell, man. If you don't know him, go check out his channel, guys. He's a good guy.
Me and Comics Dad are gonna have a one-on-one tomorrow, 5 p.m. PST, actually. Yeah.
Very cool,
so
man.
There is a show you appear on called Pop Culture Minefield, and that was created by Jerry Kissel, right?
Gary Kissel.
Gary Kissel.
A lot of people pronounce it that way, but it's Gary. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you meet him, actually?
How did I meet him? Actually on another guy's show. We were doing that's how you do this, man. I network as much as possible. You noticed right away when you asked me to do it, I was like, yeah, all I did was check out your channel, make sure you weren't full of shit. And I said, yeah, I'll come on. Man, and networking's the best way to get yourself out there. So, when I first started doing this, the first year I was doing it, I was on a guy named That 70s Rock Band show, and he was doing an old Sean Connery movie. I can't remember the name of I think it's called Zardoz. And we were doing it, and Gary was on there, and I actually memed him during the show. I put his head on Sean Connery's body because he was wearing this really hideous outfit. Looked like a what do you call it? A BDSM outfit, bondage outfit for a guy. And I put his head on it, and he loved it so much. He talked to me after the show, and he found out I was in the military. He was a combat medic himself. He does comic books. You know that, I'm sure, if you've talked to him. We've got a lot of shared interests, and we do his Military Monday show. I'm there every Monday. He knows I was an MP for 3 years, and he was a medic longer than I was. I want to say he was in 6. I'm not sure exactly. You'd have to ask him, but he was in longer than I was.
I would just say, let him know that I hit him up actually to get him on to do one of these. It'd be cool to talk to him at some point.
Oh, dude, he'd love to come on here with you. He'll show off all of his stuff, dude. He's worked for what is that comic book line? Starts with an I think. They did some
Image.
No, not Image. No. I know who Image is. these guys did. I think he actually did a cover for GI Joe, and they had it at the time. I think they also did
Mhm.
a Transformers line. Can't remember the name of the company, but he's done covers for them, and he's an independent comic creator. He's got one he's working on too.
Oh
So,
gosh, I imagine he's not very happy with the state of how the comic book industry has gone recently.
oh yeah, I'm sure, man. He's we don't even talk comic books. He and I, we
Oh,
talk more about the
yeah.
military and movies. Now, our shared interest, me and Gary, that we love is movies, and
Well, I'll ask you this: since you still watch recent movies like myself, do you
Mhm.
think there are some misleading narratives about new movies? Because every time people talk about new movies, they think they're all bad. I think there's some nuggets, some hidden gems
There's
here
good
and
stuff
there.
in there. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
I
I don't
don't.
feel like everything
Of
is
course,
bad.
I'm an older guy, and I've
You've
seen a
kind of
lot
seen
of
them
movies,
all.
and I'm always going to be drawn to '80s movies because that's when I was in high school. Most people love the stuff when they were a kid, But today's movies, yeah, there's good stuff out there, dude. If you haven't seen Nosferatu yet, you need to see that. Son of a gun, that
I
is
was
awesome.
recommended to watch that. I never watched the original black and white one,
I
actually.
didn't either. I didn't either.
Okay.
But this movie is kick
Oh,
ass,
that's
man.
listen. You're in the military. What about Top
Mhm.
Gun? How'd you feel about the
Top
Top
Gun,
Gun
dug it,
Maverick?
love it. You
Yeah.
know what I loved about that movie, man?
Mhm.
You're talking about the older one or the new one?
Did you like the original too, or did you
Of
think it was
course, yeah.
overrated?
The
Okay.
original's good. The original's good, yeah. But the
Mhm.
second one, it's almost in some ways it's better than the first one, man. But the
Mhm.
thing that I really loved about it was Tom Cruise. If you went and saw that in the theater, Tom Cruise had a little like 1 minute spiel he set, and it was filmed in a darkened theater, and they just had a light on him. And he said, "I want to thank you for coming to see this movie. It's for the fans. It's for you guys." That was his message before the movie, and then they showed the movie. And dude, yeah, it was freaking brilliant, man. Loved it. Thought it was
Yeah,
great.
I have
But
noticed with a lot of
real
movies.
quick before we
Mhm.
move on from Top
You're fine.
Gun, you do know what that mission was, right?
For the first one or the second one?
The second one.
Oh, the second one was the one where they went to Russia to get out that one thing.
It was the trench run from Star Wars. That's what they were
Oh,
doing.
good lord. Fuck.
They're flying through that valley, right? And then
Oh
they had
no.
to hit something 2 meters wide, right?
Mhm.
Without hitting the tower, right? Yeah. When I watched that movie, I was like, "This is the trench run from Star Wars, man. What the hell?" With
Awesome. Hey,
planes. Yeah.
legacy sequel that worked. Like, there's not many legacy sequels to original movies that start a franchise or that are the first ones where they
Yeah.
come out that good.
Yeah.
Like,
It's hard to do that 30, 40 years later.
yeah.
It is hard to do. I tell you, another one that pulled it off was Afterlife. I just saw that recently for the first time. I wasn't really interested in it. But wow, did they do a good job with Ghostbusters Afterlife, man. That movie was pretty good. That's another legacy sequel
But
that
you
did
love the
well with.
2016 Ghostbuster movie.
Oh no, 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 no. No, thank you. That's okay.
You're
I
like,
don't need to see a bunch of chicks slobbering over Chris Helmsworth. No, that's okay.
yeah,
No,
I
no,
can do that
thank
on my own, you know?
you.
God, man.
I tell you what I love though was when Chris Helmsworth was Kirk's dad in the beginning of that reboot of Star Trek. That was, I mean, you
I
can
was
say what you
surprised too,
want
man.
about that movie, but I love the opening of it. Kirk being born in a battle. That just it just seemed mythological. It added to the myth to me. So, I thought that was cool.
What's the thing I want to ask? Oh, it's because when it comes to movies now, I do feel like the overwhelming, if you could put it into percentages, would you say it's 50-50, or would you say it's overwhelmingly not good movies versus good ones you'll see? If you could put it into like 60-40, 40-60.
Okay, I'll tell you. Like we were looking today
Mhm.
at everything's coming out in March, and I highlighted 10 movies that looked interesting to me.
Mhm.
And whenever we do it, and we do it once a month, we run down all the movies.
Yeah.
I say, look, any of this you're going to pay to go see. And I really could only say out of the 10 movies that we highlighted, there was only 3 that I was willing to pay money on to go see. But it's not because they're going to be good or bad or whatever. It's because they're the ones I'm interested in. All of
Yeah.
them, I highlighted them because they have good casts. They have decent stories and stuff. But some of them I don't need to see in the theater, if you understand what I'm saying. the theater for me is for big event movies.
True.
I
Yeah.
mean, if it's just a regular comedy or something, I'm not going to pay to go see that. Ticket prices have gotten really high, so I reserve the MCU. I'll pay money to go see. I went and saw I went and saw Captain America,
Captain Africa.
Brave New World. Okay, and but me personally, it was an all right movie. It's not as bad as people are saying. It's not that good either, though. I mean, it was okay, but it doesn't deserve the hate that a lot of people are giving it, if you understand what I'm saying.
I rank it about as average. Like it's in that category of like Shang-Chi and Age of Ultron. It's just very okay. It doesn't really do anything offensive.
Well, I liked Age of Ultron. I'm sorry. Look, once again, Marvel is my thing, not DC. When I was reading the Avengers as a kid, it was the West Coast Avengers, and it was the Vision and the Scarlet Witch. So I was really into that part of the movie. So like I said, I'm biased towards that. So yes, I enjoyed that a lot more.
It's just like if you look at Brave New World, like that's the way I did. I didn't feel bad after watching it. Like, oh damn, I paid for an Eternals level movie. No. But it was more like it doesn't offend, but it doesn't do anything either. It's just very middle of the road. Like I understand all the problems it has, but it wasn't like dog shit either. It's just very in the middle. No,
they tried to recreate Winter Soldiers. What they did, they tried to,
and then they kind of went with the whole like adventure action plot after the espionage.
But you could tell they reshot that movie a lot. You could tell the editing was bad in it. Giancarlo, whatever his name is, his part was so small. It was like it was just interjected in there, and he was only in there for exposition. I was like, they took this actor and they did this with him. I was like, what a failed thing there. And a buddy of mine, when we were reviewing it, he said, you know what I'm really tired of? I said, what's that? He goes, the Hulk is destroying DC and nobody shows up. They just send some helicopters at him and Captain America shows up.
That's what I said.
Where's the Avengers at? Where's everybody else at?
That's the same thing I said in my review. It's like, it feels like a Hulk movie script that they couldn't do as a Hulk movie sequel because they don't want to pay Universal to use the rights to Hulk. And it's also a movie without Captain America. People said, well, it's not Captain America for Steve Rogers. It's not even a Captain America movie, for being honest here. It's more of a Hulk movie script they can't do.
Yeah, it was like a sequel to The Incredible Hulk. It really was.
God, man.
With Captain America trying to hold it down, right?
Good night, Comics Dad. Have a good night, man.
Take it easy, buddy. It's good to see you. I'm looking at Mike there. He says, anytime in history, most movies released are bad. The difference is now we have social media to talk about it. Look, let me tell you something, guys. I subscribe to this right here. If you haven't seen the movie, you can't judge it. Okay. And I'm one of these guys. Some people have a problem with this. I don't. I can separate the art from the artist. The thing that has really brought Hollywood down, whether they want to admit it or not, is social media. These guys need to shut up. The biggest movie stars, you know why they're big? You never hear from them. Have you ever seen Tom Cruise on Twitter telling people they were idiots? Have you ever seen that? No. I don't even think that man has a Twitter account.
Keanu Reeves is an example. When he does talk and interact, he doesn't talk about, because the thing is, nobody's going to their favorite actor for politics. That was something that's been injected later on.
These are guys that realize they are the luckiest people on the planet. They are getting to do what children do. They get to pretend for a living, and they want their fans to come see them because that's what keeps the money flowing. And they're smart people. You got guys like De Niro out here trying to piss off everybody, half the planet. But he's a great actor. I hate it that people want to turn off Robert De Niro's stuff because he's such a great actor, and that's what you got to do. You got to, I know some guys that don't even want to see trailers. They want to walk into a movie blind so they can judge it for themselves.
Even for Captain America Brave New World, I told people this. If you watch the 2 trailers that they put out before the movie came out in theaters, you watch the whole movie, That's another problem with it. That's another problem with movies now. Trailers are 2 minutes and 30 seconds. When reality, trailers should be like a minute, maybe a minute, 30 seconds. They reveal too much. I promise you guys right now, if you go watch the Brave New World trailers, you've seen the whole movie.
You've seen the whole movie. Yeah.
The only
it's all in there.
The only special moment in Brave New World is beginning of the third act where Bucky appears to
And they really blew it with this one because they showed the Red Hulk in the friggin' trailer.
Yeah, so all you have
he doesn't show up till the end of the movie.
Yeah, all you have is that Bucky reveal, and it's like, well, I like Bucky, and then when you see Bucky, it's like, oh, I should have just they should have just did Winter Soldier and Falcon in this instead of just giving me the taco fucking Falcon.
The worst one that I've ever seen where they really blew it in a trailer was back in the day when Terminator 2 came out. When that came out, you actually saw him helping the kid, which totally blew it because there's a great moment in it where the kid's right between both the Terminators and he pulls a gun and, it's supposed to be, he's going to kill him. Right. And then he tells him to get down and he starts shooting the other Terminator. Right. Everybody knew going in that Arnold was the good guy. Everybody knew it. And it was such a waste. If they had left that out of the trailer, if they just shown him blowing stuff up or something like that, that would have been one of the greatest moments in movie history. Whenever he started shooting the other Terminator. But no, it didn't work out that way because everybody that walked into the theater that saw that trailer knew he was the good guy. Knew it from the trailer. Yeah. Sometimes they blow it putting too much in these trailers, man.
Happened with, if you saw the M. Night Shyamalan movie last year, Trap. All things
I haven't seen that one yet. No.
Yeah, same problem.
I'm not radically opposed to him, but he hasn't really been knocking out of the park the last few times.
Oh, dude, you weren't a fan of The Happening with Mark Wahlberg and Zoe Deschanel?
No. No.
One of the best movies ever made.
My favorite one he did was the comic book movie, Unbreakable. That movie was badass. Okay. Love that flick. Yeah, love that.
Like, I think what it boils down to now is like the audience. I don't always say this about fans, but fans do this a lot. They're very NPC-ish. I'm pretty sure you've known throughout the years of talking about movies. Is like now when it comes to a movie, we go watch it, we have our experiences, and it's private. But it feels like when you come to the internet, people are kind of waiting to give their reactions because they're kind of waiting on the reactions of the people that they like to have an approved opinion on it, rather than just saying it before that.
And that's where I think they screw up, man. Because like I'm a big fan of Friday Night Tights. I love Gary Neurotic. I'm a member of his channel and everything. I
support a white man? Crazy.
Huh?
Yeah, you support a white man.
I know. I understand. But they, sometimes they go overboard with stuff. They're not going to do my thinking for me. Okay. They're entertaining. They are entertaining. But if I want to know what a movie's going to be like, I'm going to go see it. Now, I wasn't going to go see Captain America, but it just turned out that me and my wife were bored that day. And I said, okay, let's go see this. Let's go check it out.
You wanted to show her a more successful black man than yourself.
There you go. Exactly. He's getting farther in life than me. Let's go see how he did it. Yeah, that's what I was going.
No, I have met Gary in real life. I met him twice last year. I went to the meetups in Vegas and San Diego. And I told you this right now. I know a lot of people like Gary, and I do too. I think
I've met him a couple times too. He's a good guy.
They would also not like you to just be NPCs.
Yeah, they want you to do your own thinking. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of fans don't. They're like, well, my favorite content creator said it wasn't good. That's cool, and they can think whatever they think. But what the hell do you think? What is your opinion?
Think about it?
Yeah,
and we make this point all the time on my panel show when we're talking movies. I ask them all right away: have you seen this or not? And then as soon as they render opinion on it, both me and my co-host are going, you said you haven't seen it, so we're not listening to you. You go watch it, and then we'll hear what you think of the movie.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is, if I'm not blaming Gary for this, there's a lot of other bigger movie review channels. Like there's Jeremy Johns, there's Chris Stuckman, and there's all those people like that. Like I'll usually now watch movie reviews after I've seen it and did my own review to see like, oh, okay, now I can see where they're coming from. I'm not even trying to compare opinions. I'm just trying to hear different points of views because now, on YouTube, there's video essays breaking down movies and there's just certain ways to talk about them. I just told the audience this. And keep in mind, people say, well, I don't want to go because I can't afford it. But that's not an excuse anymore because you guys can watch movies through One Piece ways, pirate ways.
You can surf the high seas,
And And movies now, big blockbusters, usually drop on streaming services that you are subscribed to within like 3 weeks. There's no
That's another
reason.
thing that drives me berserk.
No,
Friggin',
yeah.
they are cutting off their nose to spite their own face.
Yeah, and I don't like it either. Because
It's silly.
it really does. It puts this mindset on theaters where it's like you have to perform in this very small window, or it's considered a flop. And it's like movies back in the day were theaters for like 3 or 4 months. But
Buddy, they had second run theaters. You could pay $1 to see
Yeah.
something that had already been out 6 months.
yeah, the Federal
Yeah.
Theater thing. Yeah, we have
I
that
went
here.
to see movies. Look, I can tell you right now, the movie I went to saw the most amount of times was I was in high school. We went and saw
Mhm.
Excalibur. I know me and my buddies went and saw it at least 9 times. I
Mhm.
mean, it was so awesome. It is the Excalibur, it is the King Arthur movie. Okay. It's the measuring stick as far as I'm concerned for King Arthur lore. And that's a high bar, man. You know, there's not
I
many
agree.
movies touch it, but, yeah, we went and saw it at the Dollar Theater when it had been out for 9 months already. You know, they used to have
Yeah.
movies in the theater for a year,
Yeah.
you know, and
So
now
it created
Yeah.
anticipation for
Mhm.
you to get the DVD later on, the whole special Blu-rays.
It was
and everything.
no. Back then, back then,
You get the VHS.
we had just
before
gotten
that.
VHS and Betamax, man,
Yeah.
and it didn't come out on that format for a good 2-3 years. When I went and saw
Mhm.
my favorite movie experience I ever had, and this is why I try to go opening weekend on something I really want to see. Went and saw Return of the Jedi in 1983. I just graduated high school. I was taking the summer off before I joined the Army. I joined the Army the last day of the summer on August 31st. And my aunt Mary wanted me to go down to Metairie. I live in northern Louisiana. Metairie's down around New Orleans. It's about a 5-hour drive down there. And she wanted me to come visit her. And I said, well, look, I'll show up on a Tuesday or I'll show up on a Thursday. But on Wednesday, I'm going to be in a theater. And she goes, why is that? I said, Return of the Jedi's coming out. She goes, okay, I'll pick you up Tuesday. She dropped me off in front of the theater at 6:30 in the morning on her way to work. There was already 80 people outside in line. Okay. Now, this is back in the day where there was no cell phones. You didn't have a computer in your hands everywhere you went. And you had to be there to buy the tickets. There was no, ordering in advance and looking how many
special
seats and all that.
seatings. Yeah,
None of
yeah.
that shit. You had to be there physically to get the ticket, right? So there's 80 people out front. I walk over. They have a Charlie O machine set up, which is fountain drinks, orange drink, whatever, Sprite, whatever. And then I saw a guy had a TV and a VHS set up, and he was watching Empire Strikes Back. And it was really a shitty picture, but you could tell what it was. And I was like, where did you get that? And he goes, oh, it just appeared in my VCR one day. It was a bootleg copy because it wasn't out on VHS yet. And this was 3 years after it had come out. He was watching The Empire Strikes Back he was showing it outside before the movie. And that right there, I was like, wow, this is amazing, man. But nowadays, like you said, 45 days. In some cases, Nosferatu, I think it's Focus Studios, they only put out their shows for 18 days in the theater. Then it's available on streaming. Of course, it's the $20 theater at home thing,
Mhm.
but they're only in.
I'm pretty
They're
sure you
only
weren't
out there
happy
for
with the
18
whole
days.
remember, because this happened before you started your YouTube channel, the whole day and date release thing that Warner Brothers did for HBO Max. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was
Yeah.
tragic.
But
Oh,
I still went to
no.
the theater. Nothing is like the theater experience for me. I love the
I
theater.
couldn't go and see Dune in the theater, man. That movie's so boring. The first one, I watched the first one.
Dude, it was so good.
Oh.
Let me tell you, the second one, I took my buddy to go see it. We've got a really nice IMAX theater, one of these dome IMAX theaters where
Yeah.
you can't get away from it. It is in your peripheral vision.
Mhm.
It's everywhere. I went and saw 2 movies over there in the last couple of years. I took my wife to see Oppenheimer there, and I took my buddy Chris, my best friend in the world, to go see Dune 2. And that was just massive. It was so gorgeous on a true IMAX dome screen. It was awesome. I loved it. Yep.
So, and that's what I tell people. Your favorite content creator or someone that you value highly can have a different opinion than you, but you also have to must consider the fact that you can both come to the same conclusion about a movie that you might not like it, but for different reasons. Though you might not like the same reasons that he didn't like the movie versus how you liked it, or vice versa. It's one of these things where, like you said, unless you really do watch it for yourself, you can't really contribute to the conversation, because to me, you would sound like a poser. It's like you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, you're basically spouting somebody else's talking points, aren't you? At that point,
yeah. And I'm not saying that you're going to go there and like it, or if you watch it online, you're going to like it, but you'll at least come to the reasons why you may or may not like something. That's the key thing, you know?
Yeah. And look, these content creators that we dig them for a reason. We relate with them and everything, but you're not going to relate with them all the time.
White. I'm a white guy, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. From the neck down, you're a white guy. Yeah. You know, I like to consider myself a black guy from the neck down, but you know, that's for the women to decide, but you know, hey. But yeah, man, don't let other people do your thinking for you. This is entertainment, folks. This is entertainment. We're genuine about what we're doing, and we're going to give you our opinion. But I would beg people to do two things. One, separate the art from the artist, because this stuff on X, that's not the real world. If they were standing in front of somebody, they wouldn't talk the way they do on there. Okay, they wouldn't do it. All right. The other thing I would say is experience these things for yourself. If you're interested in Captain America, if you like comic books and you want to see how they did, shell out the bucks and go see it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to look down on you for going to see it, man. You know, now, if it was good, I'd be back 2-3 times to see it. Like I did The Winter Soldier, which is my favorite MCU movie of all time. Still is to this day, my favorite one. The only one that comes close is the one that I had playing behind me. I don't know if it's still on, but it's still on. Infinity War is my second favorite.
My favorite is Civil War and Infinity War. Winter Soldier's 1. Sorry, Civil War is 1. Winter Soldier's 2. I think they're just both. I think they're the. I don't think they've made a good. I'll say this from my opinion. I don't think they've made a quality as movie as either Winter Soldier and Civil War in that time frame. Those are to me the best. Like people say, how do you like Civil War more than Winter Soldier? Well, I like the Cap and Iron Man rivalry in that movie. I think that kind of brings up a little bit more. I think the ending is also much more stronger. Like there's nothing more powerful in Civil War when he says, "I'm sorry, Tony, but he's my friend," and Tony's like, "So was I." There's nothing more hard hitting than that.
Mm-hmm.
When I saw that movie in the theater, that just was like, "Oh, this is the best MCU movie." I love Winter Soldier. I do. It's definitely the second best to me. Mm-hmm. But Civil War is so goddamn good. How many storylines they juggled?
The reason why I like Winter Soldier more is they did a really good job of presenting the problems of veterans in that movie. And I really dug that. I thought it was great. The other thing I loved about it was the subject matter. It dealt with the dangers of the surveillance state and what the surveillance state can do to you when they see you every second of the day through social media and everything. You know? I mean,
speaking of the conversation right now, your friend Gary. Mm-hmm. Gary, I had it right.
Gary.
Yeah. Okay, he hit me back. So
okay, good.
That was random.
Tell him you're on with me. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things where some people's favorite MCU movie is fucking the first Thor movie. I tell people that's why movies are a buffet. Anyone can get a different experience out of it. Now, I would say if you like The Last Jedi, I might look at you with an open eye and go, "Okay, you might be insane. you might be insane." But I guess
that movie right there has good stuff and it has got bad stuff. Okay,
a lot more bad.
More bad than good, but you can say what you want about it. We had heard how that there's always two Sith. There's a master and an apprentice, right?
Yeah.
And we'd always heard that the way it's passed on is the apprentice kills the master. We actually saw it in that movie. You never see it. You just hear about it in Star Wars. We actually saw it happen, and he was immediately looking for his apprentice, right? That was the good. The bad was what they did with Luke Skywalker's character. He would never do what he did in that movie. It was just giving up on his nephew. That would have never happened. He would have never tried to kill his nephew. That would have never happened. I don't understand what they were thinking doing that. That was just completely stupid.
Yeah.
But, it's look. We were talking Star Wars earlier tonight, and I love Star Wars. It's one of my favorite lores ever.
You love the Acolyte? Greatest Star Wars
No,
cinema
not a
ever
fan
made.
of the Acolyte. That was horrible. The best thing they've ever done, Disney Star Wars, I would say, is Rogue One and Andor. I think those are the two best things they've done.
Yeah, and for me with Rogue One, it's only good when you get the reveal that it's before episode 4 with the whole schematic thing that she has to get to Leia, because that movie itself has very forgettable characters you don't care for. It's boring most of the time. Vader literally could have just grabbed the schematics away from her. He literally could have just grabbed it, but he didn't. And then the schematics get to Leia. That's how you get the whole, like, they can defeat the Death Star in episode 4. It's like, I get why people like Rogue One. I understand it, but it's like that one also suffers from the same problems the other ones do.
It does. It does.
I didn't watch
dad
Andor.
putting the dad putting the back door to blow up the Death Star in there. I mean, that's come on, man. You know, that's a little.
Or even the reason why I didn't watch Andor, not because I didn't see it, because before that I had watched Boba Fett, which was easily, I think, one of the worst TV shows I've ever seen.
Boba Fett, I watched one episode and turned it off. Didn't see any of the rest.
I watched the full thing. I wanted to hang myself. And then I watched Obi-Wan. And then after that, I realized
didn't watch an episode of Obi-Wan. When I saw that he couldn't walk around a laser gate, I said, no, I'm not watching it.
I realized that after watching Obi-Wan and Boba Fett, they weren't ever going to make a good Star Wars TV show. So I didn't check out Andor. And keep in mind, that character, I didn't care for the guy in Rogue One. He's already dead. It's like, why the fuck am I watching this? Not saying it was good or bad. Just saying that I checked out because they couldn't make TV shows. The MCU TV shows, I should have known that. They could make good MCU TV shows.
Ahsoka was decent. It wasn't killer, but it was decent. They didn't. I tell you, the guy that passed away that was playing one of the characters on there, Ray Stevenson. His character was very intriguing. I've heard that they're recasting it for season 2, so I would love to see that character and where it goes. But they kind of miscast Ahsoka though, because they picked somebody who I love. I can't even remember the girl's name right now, but she's in her 50s now. I mean, you need somebody a little younger to play that part if she's going to be jumping around with a lightsaber, don't you think? Rosario Dawson, that's her name. Yeah, I've loved everything she's done, Sin City and all that stuff. But man, no, she's too old for that part. You know,
Lord. That's why you're hearing about Kathleen Kennedy leaving Star Wars, because I'll be honest here.
Look, I'm tired of them teasing me with that shit. Just let me know when she's packed her bags and left the building with her desk contents with her. Okay. When you see that, let me know.
I will say this, to be fair, before it was just random scoopers on Twitter saying they heard rumors, but now the actual trades that they want you to,
it was the top story on 2 of the 3 trades when I was checking things out.
Yeah, these are the mainstream medias that they tell us we have to believe them because they're the most credible. It's like, well, if the main ones are reporting it now, it looks like there's a lot more legitimacy to it than random buttfuck nobody scooper saying she's going to leave for the 15th year in a row.
Right.
Only for, hey, I was finally right. Yeah, that took like 10 years.
Yeah, if you keep throwing darts at the dartboard, you're going to get a bullseye at some point. Yeah.
Oh, jeez, God.
Man, come on.
But I'll ask you a few more things, man, before I have to head out of here and get to my panel show in a little bit. It was great talking to you, man. First thing is, do you have anything planned coming up in 2025 that you want to let the audience know about?
Well, I mean, all you have to do is go to my YouTube page. You'll see my schedule. I always keep it up. Matter of fact, I've got to redo a thing for next week's State of the Atmosphere. And just keep watching out for the comic book work, man. And you can go to JoesAtmosfere.com. and check out everything you need to know about me. And if you want a pencil sketch portrait done, email me on the bottom and get with me. All right. Yeah. I'm glad you had me on here, man. It's good to meet you and talk to you. And
anytime,
I'm
man.
Really glad to experience this. And if you ever want me back, you just let me know, brother.
Speaking of movies, back in the day on my older YouTube channel, before it got taken away from me when I was making money, but nevertheless, I have the tools to cope with whatever life throws at me. I used to do movie projects where I would basically watch and review all the movies in a series before a new one would drop. I'm thinking about doing that again, but I will have to knock out bigger franchises first. There is the new Jurassic World movie coming out. I'm thinking about potentially starting that up again and just watching and reviewing all the Jurassic movies before we get to the newest one. Right. Superman. The only thing with Superman is one thing. I would have to watch Creature Commandos because that's technically the start of the new DC universe first.
I've seen about half of it. I haven't finished it yet.
I'll have to do Creature Commandos. But the MCU, I do want to eventually watch and review all the MCU movies because I do have opinions about all of them in different ways. I didn't have a channel back in the day to talk about them individually when they were dropping. So I have to hit you up later on about thinking about getting that going.
All you have to do, I've given you my schedule, but if you forget about it, just let me know. I'll let you know when I'm available. And I'd be glad to do that with you. I love movies and I love talking them.
I've been trying to get that going for because now if I do a movie review, because for me, I have really bad OCD. I don't like technically putting out a movie review if it's not something I previously covered in the franchise before. So I had to kind of retitle them in a specific way where it's like, hey, so I guess if you want the review right now, but what I currently think, you can have it. But later on, I will be putting this together in a series. Like I watched all the Mission Impossible movies except for the newest one.
Okay.
Oh man, Fallout is so damn good.
Fallout's good. It's good.
My favorite is Fallout and Ghost Protocol, and then I would go Mission Impossible 3, and then 4.
See, my favorite ones too. Actually. I liked the first one, just because I was a big fan of the series. I've watched all the old ones. I didn't see them when they originally came on. I was too young for that, but I watched them later. But I love the first one because it was the first of the series, and they did a good job with it. But I wasn't too big a fan of the second and third ones. The second one was a John Woo movie, and his movies tend to be a little over the top in the fight scenes. I like the Mission Impossible to be a little bit more
espionage, spy thriller.
And then the third one, I don't know. They had his girlfriend in a CIA or Mission Impossible headquarters, everybody high-fiving at the end of it. And I was just like, I don't think a covert operation would have their spouses in there with them. I don't think that would happen. But there was good things about it. They had a torture scene in it. I thought that was cool.
Oh no, yeah.
The bad guy was cool. We lost him way too soon. Philip Seymour Hoffman. He was great. But Ghost Protocol have been dynamite. Every one of them since then.
Ghost Protocol,
but they were all set up in part 3. That team was set up in part 3. With Simon Pegg joining them and all that good stuff. So, I really think that Ghost Protocol, Fallout.
What did you think of 5?
Rogue Nation in the middle.
Rogue Nation was the 5th one.
Those are all 3 great movies. Dead Reckoning was really good. It suffered because box office wise because it was only in the theaters 10 days.
And it came out literally when 2 other bigger blockbusters were coming out too. People, if they don't see a new movie in the theaters, then the newest one that comes out, they choose to check that newest one out after.
But I am super. If you want to do, well, you already did Mission Impossibles, but I am hyped to go see Final Reckoning.
Oh no, I'm being honest, man. I still have my Mission Impossible reviews. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to redo those because I think I didn't do the best I could have on them.
Well, if you need help, holler at me because I love Mission Impossible, man. For sure.
Yeah, good lord, I have to watch the first one. It's a slog to get through. It's a slog a little bit. Good lord.
Yeah, you might think it's a slog, but you know what, man? If you really watch that through, it's pretty neat, man. The director thinks he's Alfred Hitchcock, and if you know anything about his movies, he does some neat things in it. It's pretty cool. Yeah, well, you know what I love? If you've seen the trailer for the last one that he's doing,
I'm being honest here. I'm probably gonna go in blind. I'm trying to not do it.
Okay, all right. Well, okay, then I will shut up then. It was something about there's callbacks all the way to the first one.
Really?
In the trailer for the new one. Yep. Specifically the knife has an appearance. The knife that he dropped in
I'll say about Mission Impossible, I'm not a guy who cries. I don't cry. That's a woman thing. But the end of Mission Impossible 4, when his wife is happy with someone else because he let her go because he felt like his life was too dangerous. Like, nope, not doing it.
Nope, not good. No.
I gotta walk out. Like, oh, you can't get me with that. Like, Ghost Protocol is so damn good. I can rewatch the movie all the time. The movie's so damn good. I can understand.
Fallout
Rogue Nation gets kind of forgotten.
Is awesome.
Yeah, Rogue Nation gets kind of forgotten about.
What is the name of it? Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm sure you saw that, right?
I did.
Remember when they showed the Cavalry? He did the old. He cocked his fists just like that character.
I have an unpopular opinion about Henry. I think that was his best movie performance. I'm not the hugest fan of Henry.
Cool.
I generally don't think he's that good of an actor, though. I think he's generally really overrated. It's because he's attractive. Women just think he's attractive. That's it. He's an attractive guy. If I was gay, maybe I'd swing that way. But I'm very, very straight.
Have you seen the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare?
No. The only movies I've seen from him are Man of Steel, BVS, Fallout, and I saw an episode of The Witcher. Technically, when it counts Zack Snyder's Justice League, I saw that, but he was barely in that anyway.
I haven't watched any of The Witcher. Yeah, I never even played the game.
I
have got Witcher 3 down here, and I've never opened up the package. Never opened it up.
I feel like his acting is just really stiff. Like, he's not really emotive. He'd be a great actor in your time period, like 80s, 90s, 70s. He's shining there. He's
Richard Gere is about the same way. Yeah.
Yeah. God, he
was that type back then. Yeah.
And when people have asked, like, why did a Mission Impossible Fallout, do you think he had a better performance? Well, if you guys know anything about Tom Cruise, because he did this with Emily Blunt on that one movie they were in, Tom Cruise does not let someone phone it in for a performance. You are not running it down with Tom Cruise. No. It's the only reason why I think he actually shines in that movie.
Dude, I'm sure you've seen Tropic Thunder.
That's the one where RDJ's doing blackface, right?
Yes.
I'll be honest here. I've only seen that scene. I've not seen the entire movie.
Dude.
I've never seen.
You want to see Tom Cruise at the top of his game? Watch that movie. Oh my God. He's hilarious.
I'm old, man. I've lost my time.
I didn't even know it was him. They do such a great makeup job on him. You don't even know it's him. And when I saw his name at the credits at the end of the movie, I was like, holy shit, that was Tom Cruise. Fuck. He's really good, man. And the thing is, the movie you mentioned with Emily Blunt, I will never miss a movie of his in the theater ever again, because I didn't go see that in the theater. It's called
Edge of Tomorrow, right?
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah. It was called Die, Live, Die, Repeat or something like that overseas, but it was called Edge of Tomorrow here. And I saw that on TV, and I was like, oh my God, I missed the boat. I'm never staying home for a Tom Cruise movie ever again.
Like, remember when Emily Blunt talked about, man, he pushed me so hard. That's why Henry Cavill does good in Fallout. Tom Cruise does not let someone shit in their performance.
That's it.
Because you look around any of the other directors he's been around, he's just do whatever he wants. He just phones it in. I generally don't think he's that good.
He's good in that World War II movie I just mentioned. He's good in that one. Yeah.
So, yeah, man, it was great talking to you for the first time. Can't wait to have you on a panel show whenever I can see your schedule and see if we can get you on one of those shows. But thank you guys for checking out this episode.